What's up everyone, and welcome back to Fiction Tea Reviews. The 1994 movie The Crow. It was a 1994 action fantasy movie, but it's rated as horror on Amazon, so that's one of the main reasons why I reviewed it. It is directed by Alex Proyas, written by David John Scull and Tom Moore Jr. and John Shirley. As Brandon Lee, who we all know as Bruce Lee's son, who plays Eric Draven, a rock musician who is revived to bring forth justice, the rape and murder of his fiancée, as well as his own death. Got Molly in the back. So I didn't know how this was gonna go when I first started watching it. I haven't seen any of Brandon Lee's films, but being that I'm a huge fan of Bruce Lee and his films and martial arts and always have been, grew up on it, I was like, let's see what his son's working with. Let's see how this movie's gonna go. And also, it's a cult classic, so I was like, yeah, it has to be interesting. It has to be good in some way if people are saying that it's a cult classic. And there's something about like old school 90s films that I just really love. I guess it's like that nostalgia. I enjoyed the intro. That was the kind of storytelling, and I loved how they had the little girl, Sarah, played by Rachel Davis, playing the narrator and talking about love and death, bringing those who are gone and wanting them to be there. The visuals, the CGI was not the best, but because this film came out in 1994, you have to take that into account and understand that these are not 2020 graphics, visuals, you know? CGI wasn't the best, but I know for that time it worked well. It wasn't terrible, it's just like, kind of, you know, off. It's really cheap and green screen. I love how they did the overview of the city, the red and gray tones, and it gave a very goth feel. The makeup on Eric Draven's character was like very Joker, but like goth, dark, aesthetically pleasing Joker. You know how the Joker has like the red and the green and the white? His was just like pale chalk white, black. It was very like mundane and sunken and dark, but not in a creepy way. And I think it wasn't creepy because we all understood his motive behind all of it and why he was like seeking vengeance, or in his case, justice. At first when I was watching it, his character seemed a bit off. It seemed kind of like weird. I was like, what is this weirdness going on? I was feeling like his character wasn't matching up with who he was as a person. It just wasn't fitting. There was something off that I just kept thinking about while I was watching it. But when you watch him as a person and you watch his interviews and you see who he is as a person, you hear him speak and you hear him talk, you really see how much he shares with the character, and you see their commonality. I think what I was really thrown off by was the voice of the character, because watching it, especially when it got to a certain scene, I was like, okay, they overlaid his voice. It sounds like he's talking, but they have a voice over top of it, over top of his voice, so it sounded like it was not muffled, but his voice was in the background, and it was kind of a voiceover over top of a pre-recorded video or pre-recorded scene, which I learned after watching interviews and everything. I learned that that's exactly what they did because Brandon Lee actually died on set of this movie, and he was said to be accidentally, quote unquote, said to have been accidentally shot on set of this movie, so he didn't finish the movie. So what they did, they had a stunt double play him. They had put like his face on the stunt double, and you could immediately tell even before knowing this, because I knew that he was shot on set, but I didn't know it was this film. So like even before I found out about this, you could tell watching the movie that something was off, and that you can tell that they overlaid the voice. I didn't know they even did the overlay of his face with the green screen as well. I'd say for that time with the green screen, worked well for a 1994 film. during 1994. Now, this movie is based off the comic book The Crow. I haven't read it, haven't seen it, didn't even know about it, that it was a comic book until watching this. I would love to read it though, would love to find it somewhere. And the Crow in this movie was kind of like his death tour guide. It was leading him to all of his victims, all the people that he was after. It's also notable to mention that there definitely was a reference made to Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven, where Eric Draven, definitely a connection, where Eric Draven makes a quote. He says a quote to the guy that owns that store, and the quote is a line from the poem The Raven. Also, another thing that was symbolic was the title is called The Crow, and they use actual ravens instead of crows for this movie. Crow represents murder. He's out to murder these people for what they did to his wife, for what they did to him. But ravens, in a spiritual sense, are kind of represented as psychopomps that connect the magical world and the spiritual world. Hence, Eric is a dead person, but he's existing in the material world, but kind of as like a dead spirit in some sort of way. It's like this corpse connected to the spirit world. And also in the end, when his fiancée shows up and they kind of like go together into the afterlife. So The Raven, like I said, is noted as a poem about a man who was kind of brokenhearted over the recent death of his beloved. Just like this. And this raven taps on the door, and then it starts tapping on the window, and you know the rest if you read it. I like the reference to The Raven. That's one of my favorites. I mean, I love Edgar Allan Poe. He's like a genius, and I'm a huge fan. He's from Philly. Let's go. And I've always been a fan of his stuff, but it was giving me Joker. It was giving me dark Joker. But I really feel like he would have made a really good Joker in this time. Overall, it's not bad of a film, and you can watch it on Amazon. I also think you can watch it on Hulu. Old horror is just always interesting to watch again, or like in a different time period. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and comment below and let me know your thoughts about the film. Also, be sure to hit that notification bell to get notified. Before you go, be sure to get you a copy of my book Rain. It is a psychological thriller about a group of young adults in a psych ward living there their entire lives. They have different type of mental illnesses, but they also have abilities through their mental illnesses, and they get this counselor who tries to help them cope with their illnesses, but he learns that there's something deeper going on in this place. It's haunted. These kids, they're all connected in some way, and my brother, who I came here searching for, is here, and this place is creepy and it's haunted. If you're interested in hearing the read about this, you can go to my review of French Mortel Netflix show. That's where I read the beginning chapter up until now. I read the entire book. You can just get the layout of the book and get a peek of what it's about, and you can also go to the website. The website link is in the description box below. It's at kaleidoscope.net. You can also get some merch that I make, because I make art as well, and you can also attach yourself to my email list. Send me an email at this email to get attached to my email list, so that we can build a community. And I will see you all next time in the next video.